Okay, this is going to be the last two lessons of Chapter 5. We're going to kind of combine them because they go well together. You're going to have to pardon my voice here. I'm a little hoarse, but we'll get through it. We'll get these notes filled out so you guys can have those and study those before we take quizzes and tests here. So the goal is to be able to solve and graph linear inequalities, and we'll actually do a system of linear inequalities this video as well. First of all, checking a solution is exactly as it was before. If I want to know if this is a solution, I just simply plug it in. So 2 times -1 plus 9 less than 3, -2 plus 9 less than 3. I get 7 less than 3, which is not a true statement, so it's not a solution. When I plug in the other one, I get 2 minus 3 times -2 is greater than or equal to 8. 2 plus 6 is greater than or equal to 8. And because I have the equal to bar, this one checks out. So yes, this is a solution. Again, just because -1, 9 didn't work on the first one doesn't mean it doesn't have solutions. It just means that that point does not fit the criteria. Well, obviously you could see those there, but if you take an opportunity, pause, and try these, you can check and see if you get a solution for those systems. So on those, when you answer those, you can see the work there for them. You should get no, 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 yes. Just make sure you watch your signs. As I look at that and say that, I notice I didn't wash my signs on this one, so this should be -18 is less than 1, and number 3 I'm going to change to a yes. So if you caught that and I didn't, again, good job. Just make sure you watch things like that because that messes even me up. So graphing a linear inequality in two variables. So again, it's the same thing as graphing a line, except when we have an equal sign, we always have a solid line. When we have a less than sign, we have to make our line dotted. If we have a greater than sign, we're going to have a dotted line. However, if it's less than or equal to, it's solid, and if it's greater than or equal to, it's also solid. The other thing that's a little bit different is that we shade what's called half planes. So what you do is once you have your line graphed, you shade above or below based on your inequality. So if it's a less than, you're going to shade below. Sometimes kids have a hard time with that, and I tell them to think like their line is a pencil. If this is a pencil and I stand it up on my desk at that angle, the direction the pencil falls is below. If it doesn't fall that way, it's above. Now, obviously, there's tricky ones where we have vertical lines, but think less than just like a number line. Number lines, less than is to the left, greater than is to the right. So if we look at this, again, here's your notes for that. So solid and dotted lines, shading above or below the half plane. So in this one, we have y is y is less than or equal to 2. Again, keep in mind y less than a number is a horizontal line. We learned that back, I think clear back in chapter 2. It's a horizontal line, and because it's less than, I'm going to do the half plane that's below. Now, when you guys go to shade this, obviously you guys don't have the tools I have on the iPad here. A simple quick shade on your quiz or test like this will do just fine. Now, typically when we graph these, it'll look more traditional, like a slope-intercept form. So what we have to do is get this one there. All the rules of moving negative still apply. So what that means, and it doesn't happen in this one, but what that means is if when I'm going to isolate my y, if I have to divide by a negative, I still have to flip my inequality. So I didn't divide by a negative here, so I'm going to leave my inequality greater than. My slope is 1/2, and my intercept is 1. So now if I go plot this, I have a y-intercept of 1. I have a slope of 1/2. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. You could kind of get a straight edge and trace, or this would be just fine. We have greater than, and we need a dotted line. So if you just want to keep using your slopes to get your points on your line. And if you want to put little dashes between them, that's fine. But understand, this is the line. It needs to be a dotted line. Okay, if it were an equal to bar, you would fill that line in and make it solid. It's less than again on this one, so why less than that number? We're going to shade below our dotted line. And that's how you would graph that inequality. So take a moment. I'm trying to kind of zoom here so that you can see them without seeing the answers. If you can see that, pause, go ahead and try those. If not, again, it's always a good opportunity to try them regardless. But if you had an opportunity to pause, I put 5 and 6 on the same graph, and then I did 7 and 8 on the other two. Okay, so systems of linear inequalities, ironically enough, kind of looks like the combination of 5 and 6. Essentially what you do is you graph two lines and you shade where they cross. So for instance, if I were graphing 5 and 6 together and I only wanted to shade where they crossed, it would just be this area in the top left quadrant there. So when we go to do these, notice here we have two equations. They have x plus 2. Here's our y-intercept of 2. And they went up 1 over 1. And it's a dotted line because that's a less than symbol. This one is -1 for an intercept. They go up 2, right 1. And they do a solid line because there's an equal to bar on that. Okay, so I'll clean that back up so we can see a little bit better. But you can see the intersection of where those two meet is in here. The points that are along the dotted line won't work for your system. However, the points that are along the solid line will. So it's kind of tricky that way. So on this one, y is less than 3. I need a solid line at, oops, not -3, sorry. I need a solid line at y equals 3, and I would shade below. And then for my other equation, I'll change colors here. I have a y-intercept of 2 and a slope of 1. And this one is a dotted line. So I'm just going to kind of draw a dotted line up and to the right, following that slope. And I'm going to draw a dotted line down and to the left, following that slope. This one's greater than. So if I were shading just that one, I would shade above. And I would shade everything above that dotted line. So the intersection where I would shade for a test would be this area right here. Okay, and kids in the past have shaded both and just bolded in that area, and that's just fine. So again, if we have to put them in slope-intercept form, you guys, it's the same thing. I'm going to slide down here so you guys have an opportunity and the video doesn't get too long. Try those out, pause it, and see what you get. Okay, so now that you've had an opportunity, here's what they should look like. Again, it's the bolded area or the purple area in this. You'll notice the first one, we actually don't have any solutions in this particular case because they were parallel lines. The one to the top was shaded above. The one to the bottom was shaded below. There's no intersection of points here, not even the lines themselves. So there can be no solutions here. Okay, and then the last part here is just simply being able to write an equation of a line, but writing it with inequality. So if I look at the bottom line, I have y is greater than or equal to, because it's a solid line and it's shaded above, and I put the y, the horizontal line, is -2. This one here is a dotted line and it's shaded below. So I'm going to put the less than symbol. I look at my intercept. My intercept is 0. It looks like my slope is 1. So it's simply y is less than x. On this one here, I look at my vertical line. It's shaded to the left of my vertical line and it's solid. So it's x is less than 3. This one here, I have a y-intercept of -1, but it's above and it's a dotted, so it's greater than. And I look at my slope, it looks like it is up 2 and right 3, so it's 2/3 x minus 1. And those are your two equations. Go ahead and pause, try these, and actually I'll go ahead and work them out with you here real quick. If you want to pause and try them quick, you sure can. This one is x is less than 3. This one is y is less than x plus 2. And I have to go back and look at this. Yep, okay, we're okay up there. And to make sure I didn't make a mistake up there. Last couple here. This one here, it looks like my y-intercept is -3. So we're going to put a solid line. It's shaded below, so its y is less than or equal to. My slope looks like it's up 2/1, so 2x minus 3. This one here, it's shaded above as well, so its y is greater than or equal to. And it looks like it's -1/2 x plus 1. Okay, so again, we did linear inequalities, systems of linear inequalities. They're all kind of the same. It's lots of graphing lines, guys. So we should be pretty comfortable with it. The shading and the dotting lines is new, but that's something that we can kind of pick up on as we go. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.